Today, we talk about. Here we back, bitch! All right, so let's just fucking dive in. And I'm just going to read through my notes. I haven't read these notes since that first night that I was at that comedy club, but it doesn't matter because it's just. Yeah, it's just going to spur my memory to feed you these facts from what my time felt like. Now, that whole heckler dynamic thing, I was just so blown away. Like, no one was heckling, everyone was having a good time because you only hear about heckling on YouTube videos and on highlight reels because it's just an interesting thing that happened. Like, it's just this weird phenomenon that happened where some douche was an asshole and it became a highlight of the show, right? But it shouldn't be a part of the show. And if it does become a part of the show, it's because either the heckler did something crazy or the comic shut them the fuck down. Either way, you want to see it, right? So I was freaking out watching the show because I respect comedians. I respect the art of comedy. I respect not having to heckle. And no one had heckled during the show. And to my knowledge, I'd never been to a comedy club before. So I was like, there could be a heckler any minute. And it doesn't happen that often, luckily, at least not in Iowa. And the only time I've seen it happen in New York is with my douchebag friends. So, it is what it is. Got him. But at the time, I was kind of worried about it. So, I wrote it down. Next point. Some are so amateur, you see the inside joke bit coming because they tried too hard. And this was kind of an eye opening experience for me because, again, the first night I went to a comedy club was an open mic night. It was free. It was in Iowa. It was not in New York. Am I right? It was out in Iowa. And that's the only reason I had the courage to even attempt to do stand up comedy. But we'll get there. Listen, I'm at this show. I'm just there to enjoy myself. It's a great show. I have a great fucking time. But watching some of these comics work on their bits, it all of a sudden started to click. I was like, holy fucking shit. These guys are talking about jokes that I've heard on Netflix, I've heard on Comedy Central, I've heard on HBO. And these jokes are so fucking amateur, I can recognize it all of a sudden. Because I'd never been exposed to like amateur comedy. I'd only been exposed to professional, well-tuned, curated comedy on these, platform fronts. And so it was so amazing to see this because it only spurred my fucking inspiration to pursue it myself, if that makes sense. So that was the point I was trying to make with that. Now, I wrote down having 6,500 followers. Bruh, that is so hilarious to hear because that was back in fucking September, October. That was back in the fall. It is now January, and I'm just about to hit 5 digits in terms of YouTube subscribers. And the number doesn't mean shit other than the fact that it just tells you, like, dude, for 10,000 motherfuckers to fuck with you, that's a big fucking deal. To come from a world where no one has any interest in hearing anything you have to fucking say, when you come from a world where you get interrupted every fucking sentence, and now you just do whatever the fuck you want, goof off however much you fucking want, talk as long as you fucking want, and you have almost 10,000 subscribers. That's a big fucking deal, man. That's like big fucking news for me. And my friends will never get it because I sound like such a pussy saying that, but it's fucking true, man. Like, you can only go so long in your fucking life getting bullied, not getting listened to, not getting respected. I could go on and on. God. Bottom line, whole reason I gained confidence to even pursue this is because multiple thousands of fucking people, let alone who's to come, respected what I was doing to the point where they were willing to listen to what I had to say, right? Okay, next. Oh, I've heard this advice. So I've been doing a lot of research on how to get better at comedy, how to deliver dirty comedy, on that topic. I came to this recognition on my own, but it was so helpful to see that others had felt the same way, especially professionals, as far as like giving advice. And the advice was, hey, this is something I came up with independently, but I'm glad to hear that professionals actually agree with me on this. The dirtier you get, the better your fucking delivery better be. That first night, I heard innocent comedy, I heard shit comedy, I heard great comedy, and I heard dirty comedy, right? And I don't fucking mind dirty comedy, dude. Do you know what I fucking do for a living? The point was, it was just like, dude, they are amateurs. Like these open micers, including myself, we're amateurs. So if something doesn't hit, it's one thing. But if we try to go dirty or racial or fucking dark and it doesn't hit, you fucked up. Like you gotta fucking hit if you're gonna go in that zone. So you better be fucking confident slash understanding that this joke is gonna fucking hit because it might not, my guy. Is it worth it? I don't know. You tell me. Luckily for me, like I don't have a dark sense of humor. I'm a very happy-go-lucky kind of guy. I don't have a lot of trauma in my life. I don't have a lot of like shit that's relatable to regular comics. I've actually started to incorporate that into my stand-up, and we're trying to, or not that we're trying to, we are kind of getting ahead of ourselves, in my perspective, on this podcast in terms of my experience because my experience so far with comedy has been just, constantly trying different things. And for those of you that have been following me on YouTube, you've seen kind of my evolution of like different material I'm trying, different modes I'm trying, different like attitudes I'm trying. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but why don't we leave that there and like just get back to addressing these steps. So, long drawn out jokes are equivalent to people cutting out early on your watch count because you didn't do enough edits and cuts to keep their attention. Okay, what I was trying to say here is the art form and the beauty and the polishing of stand-up acts is the ability to take a story and deliver it in such a way where people are going to pay attention to you. This is one of the things I'm going to continue to work on myself. And I can tell when I watch these other comics, for example, tonight, let alone yesterday, let alone the day before yesterday, let alone the day before that. I love being in New York, man. I need to start going to way more comedy. And I stepped it up this week. And that's another reason I'm doing the podcast again, because I'm stepping my fucking shit up. But with that said, I could do so much more. Now, you listen to these orators and you're like, yo, these guys are fucking crushing these stories. Like they're making, whether it's a menial story, whether it's a story that you're like invested in from the jump, whatever the situation, their goal is to get you from story start to story end to guffaw, to masides, to I lolled. And that's very fucking difficult to do. So I respect that a lot about comics. That takes obviously time to hone, to perfect, to gain experience and pull off. And so I respect comics for that. I'm still new here, my guys. Being authentic is for real because you've believed the image and the brand built. You have to have it. So if you create a false brand, it's a lose-lose for audience and you. What I meant to say by that, I think, is that if you try to be hacky, if you try to like build up your persona as something that you're not, A, people will sniff it out, and B, if they don't sniff it out and you become successful off of that image, you're going to hate yourself for it because that's not really who you are. And all of a sudden you have to live up to this image that you are going to have a hard time living up to because it's going to be hard. It's not who you are. Is you tight? Got 'em. Anyway, sorry, I'm starting to freak out about the timer of this shit. I really got to get like a professional podcast studio bullshit set up here. But I'm not too worried about it because I'm delivering content. You guys are here for the content. If this is what you want, I got you. If it isn't what you want, fuck off. Bye. Peace. With that said, I'm just freaking out because I'm watching the red light and I'm thinking, I don't want that red light to go off while I'm in the middle of a fucking monologue. And then I realize well after the fact that that light is off. And then all of a sudden I got to be like, oh, well, when was the last time you saw the light on? It's not worth it. So we're going to pause again and then we'll just restart. Suck a dick.